Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here, and today's video is going to be my top 10 recommendations for fall designer fragrances. So these are going to be fragrances that are in the designer realm. Some of them are kind of on the fence as to whether they're niche or designer, whether that be because of price or just because of the type of brand they are. You know, like Guerlain sometimes gets lumped in with niche, sometimes with designer. But that being said, a lot of these fragrances key in on some notes that I like to reach for, that being sweet, dark, woody, and sometimes rose. So these are going to be the main players here for the autumn for me, and we're going to get right ahead with the number 10 spot. This one used to be making cheapy lists. Its price has gone up with hype a little bit. I think you can still get the 50 mLs for under 50, but the 100 ml is going for right around 70 these days. A fall favorite and one that you should definitely get your nose on if you haven't already. This is Moschino's Toy Boy for the number 10 spot. So a really nice kind of dewy rose, I want to say. It's very bitter green, medicinal rose in some sense. Beautiful floral composition. Sometimes it can give off or I don't want to say sometimes, but to some people it can give off a little bit of that old granny vibe. But I think this is done excellent. Done very excellently, and it has a certain mass appeal to it. I get compliments with this one often, and it's got a really nice, unique, spicy envelopment around the rose. So Sichuan pepper I think is going to be in here, as well as a handful of other notes that really tie in and round out the bitterness of the rose in this fragrance. Beautiful composition. I think it's perfectly unisex. I, however, think it does lean a little bit more masculine than feminine, despite the rose note in here, and somewhat unique bottle design. I think it's kind of clunky in the 100 ml, so I would recommend the 50 ml personally, but really great stuff and perfect for the autumn. I wore this one recently and enjoyed it thoroughly. This is Moschino's Toy Boy for the number 10 spot. Okay, the number 9 spot. I believe this one's been discontinued. I don't think you can pick it up on the official website for this brand any longer, but you can still find this on Fragrance Net for right around $76, I want to say. eBay, you can still readily find it under 100 for 100 ml. This is Robert Graham's Valor. So this is sage, coffee, and amber are the 3 listed notes. I think there's a little bit more going on in here than that. It is a pretty beautiful and elegant fragrance, a little bit linear. However, it does opens up with that really nice herbal, aromatic green sage quality. But then dries down into this very unique amber coffee scent. Very sophisticated. This was my Thanksgiving fragrance of the day last year. I absolutely adore this fragrance. Probably my favorite coffee fragrance in my entire collection, and at under $100, this is a steal. And I definitely recommend picking this up for 2023 because I don't think they're going to be nearly as readily available for 2024. So get them while you can. This is Robert Graham's Valor for the number 9 spot. Okay, number 8 spot. I think this one is not technically discontinued, but the brand is sort of doing a limited supply. I believe it was Fragrance Dude did a kind of rundown on this fragrance and a handful of other ones that were rumored to be discontinued. So definitely another one you should get while you can. This is Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Lucky. So a nice hazelnut kind of centered fragrance. It's got that nice nutty creamy quality from the hazelnut in here. There's a plum that adds a certain fruitiness. Overall though, despite the kind of thickness that nutty fragrances have, this is very light, easy to wear. There's some ozonic notes in here, some honey that sweetens it up in a way that's not overly gourmand. Absolutely stunning composition. Ended up accidentally buying a 200 ml. I thought I was buying a 100 ml, but I'm really glad that I did get that, and I'm about a quarter of the way through. I don't know if you can see the juice level. It's right about here. So about 50 mLs down already. One of my most complimented fragrances for the autumn time, and like I said, definitely one you're going to want to try and get your nose on before they decide that it isn't going to be staying in the lineup. Like I said, they're kind of doing a limited run of these right now to see if the sales continue to be worthwhile for them. Otherwise, it's going to go the way of the Privé flanker in this line, which probably would have made this list had it not been so difficult to find and so high priced right now. But 1 Million Lucky, definitely one with its plum, honey, and hazelnut composition with those fresh ozonic notes. Easily something you could wear as a signature scent as well, I think. It's got a certain freshness to it that can be pulled off in even high heat, in my opinion. This is 1 Million Lucky, number 7 spot. 8 spot. 10, 9, 8, yes. Number 7 spot. This is my scent of the day, and it is, I believe, my favorite iris fragrance, except for Dior Homme Parfum. This is Givenchy Gentleman Oud Parfum Boise. Boise meaning wood. So the reason I love this as an iris fragrance is it has the most definitively masculine quality to it. The wood in here gives it this rough edge that just really delivers it in a way that's not overly metrosexual or effeminate or floral in any way. And there's a little bit of that cacao powder that you get from the Dior Homme line as well, but this one just has so much more of a rugged appeal to it than anything in the Dior Homme line, which I also absolutely adore. But this one just it hits on certain notes that those don't, and I've also gotten many compliments with this fragrance, while I've yet to get complimented on any of the Dior Homme lines. So definitely check this one out. It's my favorite from the Givenchy Gentleman line. This is Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boise for the number 7 spot. You usually find these for right around like $80, I want to say, for the 100 ml. Really good at that price. Okay, so number 6 spot. This is actually from the Dior Homme line, but it's not one of their iris versions. This is the 2020 Dior Homme. This fragrance was difficult for me to want to recommend either this or the Eau Sauvage Parfum in this lineup for the fall designers. I think this one just has a little bit more mass appeal and is a little bit easier to wear. The Eau Sauvage Parfum being a barbershop fragrance, it's going to appeal to people with a little bit more of a sophisticated, old school kind of taste. But this being a elemi resin dominant fragrance with a lot of isoe super, almost reminds me of Terre d'Hermes, but I feel like this just does what Terre d'Hermes is trying to do in a better fashion. The sport flanker of this really captures that Terre d'Hermes DNA with a little bit of like an orangey kind of citrusy top. But this one is the number 1 most complimented fragrance in this list, bar none. You can get this for right around $80 on the discounters, and it is definitely worth owning. Absolutely stunning composition. Even though it doesn't have the iris, and I know a lot of people disregarded this one because of that, because it failed to meet expectations. Nonetheless, I think as a standalone fragrance, the Dior Homme 2020 DNA is an absolute must-own. So that is the number 6 spot. Okay, top 5 here. This is another one that's kind of borderline niche or designer, depending on how you want to place it. I believe that this line also produces other things than fragrances, and you can usually find these anywhere between $80 and $100 for 100 ml. This is Maison Margiela's Replica line Jazz Club. So I've spoken about this one quite a bit on the channel. This is my 2nd bottle technically. I only went through 50 mls, dropped it, and had to replace it. So still kind of full, but I'm hoping to get a nice little chunk in there over this fall and winter season. This is leather, smoke, tobacco, and booze. Exactly what you would imagine at a jazz club. Very sophisticated kind of bad boy fragrance. It combines those 2 elements together into one excellent composition, if you ask me. And this is also not my most complimented, but my most how do I want to say it? Like the compliments that I've gotten from this fragrance have been the most lustful or you know, just memorable compliments, I guess you could say, from this fragrance. Definitely one that the ladies kind of are drooling over, is a good way to put it. Highly recommend this one. Definitely perfect for the entire fall and winter season. Performs excellent in very cold weather, and it just captures a lot of the notes that I associate with the fall time. So this is Jazz Club at the number 5 spot. Okay, moving into the big boys here. Number 4 spot, this is Cartier Declaration Parfum. Stunning cardamom is just the best way to put this. There's a lot of other components to this fragrance, but it's just like a cardamom fragrance par excellence, if you ask me. It keeps that Cartier Declaration DNA, if you're not familiar with that. It's kind of similar to the Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir line, but this just has a certain powdery sweetness to it, and like old school, like old money authority kind of behind it that nothing else with this DNA has given me, at least. And I just think this is a super high class, elegant, upscale, mature fragrance for any man that's you know, looking for that kind of vibe. I absolutely adore this fragrance in particular. Some of the other flankers in this line, at least the original, it can come off a little bit dated, but this one is perfectly modern while keeping to that classical appeal. The Dunsoir flankers are also, I'm a big fan of. The Dunsoir Intense easily could have made this list for the autumn, but that one's been discontinued and kind of hard to find and very pricey. But this one definitely, I think, is a must-own for any man's collection, particularly for the fall and winter. Almost gives off a little bit of a boozy vibe as well, even though there's no boozy notes in here that I can recall, but it resembles the type of boozy quality that you get out of Ancre Noir L'Extrême a little bit. So yeah, highly recommend this one, and you can get this for anywhere between like 80 to 100 as well. Okay, another one that's been discontinued, doesn't seem to be drying up too quickly. It is a little bit of an acquired taste. It smells, or has been compared to the smell of Band-Aids at times, but for me, I just find it to be a very well done leather fragrance. It reminds me more of like a cracked black leather, or I mean, sorry, a cracked brown leather than a plush black leather, which is what I get from Tom Ford's ombre leather. But this is Gucci Guilty Absolute. So you can usually find these anywhere between the $80 to $100 for 100 ml as well. And like I said, you know, in some sense it comes off like the smell of Band-Aids, but I think it is in the best way possible that is how it comes off. It just has a very nice, well done sort of cologne vibe to it, in that vein of scent profile, and a certainly very masculine and an addictive scent profile. Maybe it's only addictive to me because I'm like a frag head, and it has just such, it tickles or scratches an itch in terms of olfactory sensation that I don't really get out of much else. And Alberto Marias is the perfumer behind this one as well, so it's definitely a well composed fragrance, in addition to just having a beautiful, beautiful leather accord. I think Cypress is also like one of the main players in terms of the actual notes bringing about the overall scent profile, and Cypress is another fragrance note that is in that woody vein that I absolutely love putting on in the autumn time. Perfect for the autumn. Not you could wear this in the winter, but I think it really just shines its brightest here in the fall season. So definitely check this one out. Get your nose on it first though, because like I said, it is a little bit of an acquired taste. Okay, top two. Number 2 spot is going to Guerlain Heritage. So this is like a patchouli barbershop fragrance. This is the first edition of vintage formulation. I haven't got my nose on the newer ones, but I hear they're more or less the same with a little bit of like a decreased performance. Maybe a little bit of a less projection as well, but I have yet to hear anybody say that it's not worth picking up the current formulations. I'm going to try and get my nose on one of those though, or pick up a bottle just to be sure about my recommendations. I did pick this one up for right around $160 though. If you're interested in trying to hunt one of these down, I think it's worth it. At least the juice in this bottle is well worth that price. I mean, if you're going to go out and buy a Tom Ford for around that amount, I think it's worth hunting this down for sure, the gold cap version. But like I said, a patchouli barbershop fragrance. It just reminds me also of like the sort of optimism that the world was enveloped in the 90s before 9/11 happened. We had a bright future ahead of us, you know, technology and innovation was moving forward in a good manner. The U.S. had a surplus. We weren't really involved in global warfare at the time. So this has a certain bit of that 90s optimism in it. Is this the vibe that it gives to me? And I think this came out in the 90s as well. It's very just clean, elegant, classy, gentleman's fragrance. And I think the best for the fall time, even though you could wear this year-round as a signature scent. So this is Guerlain's Heritage for the number 2 spot. The number 1 spot is a recent acquisition, and it is very pricey. I have not seen it pop up at the discounters, so I had to buy this directly from the brand's website, and it ran me about $170. So again, that's kind of what you get Tom Fords at the discounters. So if you do find one of these at Joma Shop per se, I saw its listing on there for around $80. If you can end up catching it, but I have yet to see it at a discounter, but it's very, very much worth owning. It is a beautiful, thick, resinous, LME based fragrance, rounded out with some vetiver and just some very Thanksgiving type vibes to it. And this is Bel Ami Vetiver from Hermes. Shout out to Ramsey. He's the one that recommended me both this fragrance and Guerlain's Heritage. Both absolutely stunning compositions, super high class. This one, I haven't gotten any compliments on it, but I have gotten a lot of good body language from women. I deliver for a restaurant, and the interactions I've had with customers seem to be very favorable when I'm wearing this fragrance. Super long lasting as well. I had a 9-hour shift at work the other day. Got home, got in the shower, and this was still pumping super strong. And like I said, it's just very centric on LME resin, kind of like Dior Homme 2020, but this one goes in a little bit more of a refined, classy kind of vibe rather than an everyday sort of cologne, even though you could easily wear this as a signature. And then it has that vetiver, soapy kind of textural feel to it, I want to say, with just like that happy-go-lucky, festive sort of Thanksgiving periphery, I guess, around the whole scent profile is a good way to describe it. Highly recommend this one. Maybe try and get your nose on it if they have any Hermes boutiques near you. Because like I said, this one I have yet to see at a discounter, but they do still sell it directly from Hermes's website. So this is my number 1 spot for designer fragrances for the autumn time. Check it out. And let me know what your top picks for the autumn time for the designer, in the designer realm are in the comment section down below. Really appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.